Start recording. I'm going to share my screen. Get cracking on that one. That screen up there. You see that, Paul? See my screen?
Yeah, that's fine, James.
So that's all good. And yeah, let's give a few bits and pieces. Wait till the clock's just literally turned 3 o'clock. So we'll start. Thank you, everybody, once again for joining us. If you've been reading the emails that have come through from Plarman, they'll tell you that this is the last of the Remote Recruiter series, which isn't strictly true. It's probably the last one that we're going to formally do on a Wednesday. We've had a couple of weeks break because we've got to fit in some holidays in all this tough time. So no, we didn't really go on holiday. We just had a couple of weeks break. And today's webinar is really a little bit about wrapping up what we've done so far as the country starts to think about coming out of lockdown. And we sort of made it think, if you're coming out of lockdown tomorrow, would you be ready? So that's sort of where we're going to be focused on today. But we do have a couple more webinars that we will be running, so we would urge you to keep an eye out for them because there are some topics that we've just not been able to quite fit in for one reason or another. And I'll give you an example of one of those. And it's actually around the McQuaig or the Holtz Group, who are the license holders for McQuaig in the UK. And what we're trying to get them to do is actually sort of share with us how they can actually share with you something called Flow Profiler, which looks about emotional intelligence and how that's a product and service offering that they now have available. So we will fit those in at some point. We may even use the same time slot, but we're just going to sort of get back and focus on the day-to-day stuff. But there will be some more webinars coming from us as well. So please do keep an eye out for those. So what we're going to go through today, if I get this started, is we're going to make sure that you're ready for the bounce back. So we just want to go through with you the little bits and pieces that we think are appropriate for you to prepare for yourself if you haven't already done so. And there are three topics that we really want to talk about. The first one is preparation, and it's all about making sure we are prepared for bounce back and what's going to happen. And we're going to talk about some of the challenges that not only what we're going to be facing, but the pain points that we're going to need to help our clients fix. And these are above and beyond the normal pain points that we would be expecting to discuss with clients. So, we're going to be talking about some of those bits and pieces as well. And then dealing with the competition. So what are we going to do to sort of make sure we fend off from that? So we've got a couple of things in here today that we hope you'll find of interest, some things we want to share with you, some actions that you're going to need to take after today. But again, as always, I want you to know that we are here to help and support you. So if you need us in any particular way, then please make sure you do get in touch with us. Anything to add, Paul?
No, I'm looking forward to the next slide because I think that goes into detail on each point.
I was going to say, great, Paul. That's, that internet connection works really well. We've got now a satellite time delay. That's the type of internet connection you're on. But, there we go. And Paul and I are still on our lockdown haircuts.
Oh God, yeah. This might be the first time anybody's seen me sporting this one.
Maybe, yeah, but not me as well. So
needs must.
So let's get on to the first topic, which is preparation. And the key thing that we've been trying to do over the last couple of months or so is to give each of you the opportunity to share with you the thoughts that we have. And although many of you, and we appreciate this, many of you have sat in and listened to all of them, we do want to make sure you can access the information that is available. So all of the hard copy material that our marketing team have so diligently put together, it's available for you to download and look at. And when you go to this Dropbox page, and it'll be in one of the links that's in one of the emails. I'll try and get it later on before we disappear. What you can do is just click on this and or click on the link. It'll take you into this Dropbox folder where you can access all of those files. And there's another subfolder there, which is a Webinar Wednesday recording. So if you want to punish yourself by listening back to any of these, again, you're very welcome to listen back to those as well. And anything that we've produced over recent weeks, it's been with the sole focus of helping us prepare for the return. We still don't know when the return is, and for those of you who joined earlier, Michelle was saying, for some of our clients like Michelle, it's not been as bad as it could have been, whereas we know for some of our clients it's been essentially catastrophic. Their business just evaporated. But we are all strongly of the belief that things will return, and the exercise that we put in place over the last couple of months have been focused on helping you get something from this and use this time to improve your learning and education. So the reality is we do want you to go back and have a look at those. Anything to add to that, Paul?
No, I mean, I think you can, obviously people can share these as well with their colleagues, if their colleagues haven't managed to jump on. It'd be good viewing for anybody.
Yeah, indeed. So please do feel free to share these with your colleagues. And then, because we're talking about preparation in terms of this, so the 7 P's of preparation, you've probably all heard this one. I've put in the little exclamation marks just to be proper. But proper planning and practice prevents, piss poor performance. That's where
He said it.
Because we've got that. And the reality is that's so true in life. But we're focusing on the planning and practice side here, because the preparation is all about saying, what are we doing to prepare to get back into the market, when it does return in your own sector at whatever time, and they'll probably come in at different phases. But the practice we're talking about is really practicing the things that we've tried to learn over the last couple of months to help us have a head start against the competition, because we are going to be talking about the competition and how hard that competition is going to sort of be trying to eat into your business as well. So really, just focus on those 7 P's. It is about making sure we put in the hard work and effort now. But there's some key areas that you need to consider, and I'm sure you probably have been doing these. Just want to make sure that people look at those. So the key areas are things like database management. So in terms of database management, what we're trying to say here is now the last couple of months should have been a great time for you to go through your databases, check out the details, check they're up to date, cleanse it, purge it, get it there. But also we know that is an arduous and laborious task, and that's why one of the webinars we did recently was about sharing the work around and having a look at that and outsourcing some of those things. And what's your favourite quote, Paul?
Do what you do best and outsource the rest.
Yeah.
That's really important, James. And these key areas sort of they really hit home for me, because these are the things that we've been working on in our recruitment company, Grass Greener, obviously over the last couple of months. And it's it's as new to us, this situation, as it is to anybody else. Yeah, all right, we've had recessions and Brexit and one thing and another, but nothing has been as aggressive as this in terms of the market conditions. But the first thing that we sort of cottoned onto was, and the consultants, etc., in our business, was really refining the databases that we had. Mm-hmm. And one of my colleagues, so I had on one particular list, i.e. market area in which he works, I think he had 1,500, and he's whittled that down to 500. So obviously we think, when you say database management, I think people may automatically think adding companies to it, but it's not always about that. It's about refining them, taking off the people who are not of relevance or interest, etc., and obviously updating that with people who are. And you might end up with less, but it's more accurate data. And data is king, as somebody once said. And that's really important, because we can come up with all these great marketing ideas and sales techniques and all the rest of it. But if you're not marketing to people, to the right people, then it just all falls down. It's all one big waste of time. Yeah. So that for us has been, it's been a, let's try and be positive. It's been a great opportunity for us to go and refine this data. We've switched CRM systems and just cleaned everything up. So I would encourage other people, whilst they've still got time, to, especially now the sun's gone in, to get behind the desk and actually put some effort into sorting out their database if it's not already perfect.
Yeah, and I think it is about that cleansing, Paul. We've spoken about in the past about the Dream 100. I know you talk about 500 there, but sometimes our databases are too big, become unwieldy, and we just think we're mailing out to lots and lots of people. So database management is one of those areas that you need to preparation on. And again, all about now's a good time to clean house. The second one is about team responsibilities. And again, Paul, what I'm focusing on is we think about the fact that 360-degree recruiters are the norm in a lot of our industry. But one of the things we've had the opportunity to do is look at using some of the tools available to us, like Equate, is to find out, is to actually look down at our team and not down at our team, look into our team and actually see where are their strengths and weaknesses or developmental considerations that we need to look at. So we've got tools to do that, and making sure that we're actually making the right member of the team responsible for the right task. So as obvious as it may sound, some people just don't like business development. We can't understand why, Paul, but that's just the way it is. And if you force them to do it, it just makes it uncomfortable. And some people, get bored with doing the administrative, repetitive side. And those are all things which can be balanced out. So it's about identifying your team. Who is the right person to do which part in the organisation.
Absolutely, James. And at this moment in time, and over the last 3 months, in our businesses, people have actually stepped up and they've taken responsibility for new things. Number one, for learning new things, but number two, for actually getting on with tasks. So, for example, everybody on this call should at least be familiar with a software solution called Infusionsoft. It's a marketing tool. So we've had a couple of people in our business who knew very little about that. They're now becoming extremely competent. So they've taken on some additional responsibility, and we've got other people getting familiar with presentation tools like Prezi, for example. And one of our colleagues did a presentation on where they were planning to go on the summer holiday, just because it gave them the opportunity to talk about something they were interested in and hone their skills on Prezi as a tool and things like that. I know, James, you've been doing a lot of additional role plays and pitching with people as well, which I'll come on to. But the point being is that can you yourself, and can you work with your colleagues to actually learn new skills that are going to be beneficial moving forward?
Yeah, good.
And the other thing as well is, changing responsibilities as well. People tend to get pigeonholed and they tend to end up just doing one thing. And because we're typically small SME businesses, I don't think we generally give people the opportunity to move around enough. You see it in some of these big corporations where somebody will do they'll do a 3-year stint in procurement, and then they'll go for a 3-year stint in operations and then into sales, and they move around. We typically don't have the size of business to allow people to do that. But nonetheless, can we help our colleagues move around and understand different areas of the business? Because if you have an appreciation for it, that usually helps people to therefore understand it. And what's the terminology? Just be appreciative as to what your colleagues do and understand where you can help them. And Plumman often says it, doesn't he, in our business, is anybody at 100% capacity? And if the answer is yes, how can we look to alleviate some of that? And if the answer is no, how can we look to spec that up, and how can we share our skills and knowledge around the team?
I think that's one of the things.
Look at that.
Yeah, I think it's one thing that quite often frustrates business owners and senior managers in business, where they find they're really at full pelt sometimes, yet others are coasting in the business. So it's just about moving things around if you can. So then
the trick is, James, though, it's difficult, isn't it, sometimes to pick just in I keep talking about wartime and peacetime, but in peacetime, when everything's going swimmingly, you just tend to concentrate on doing what you do. And it's difficult to pick somebody up out of sales and say, now you're in marketing, or somebody in marketing and say, oh, now you're on cleansing data, for example. But at this moment in time, I believe it's great to be able to cross-pollinate, let's call it. And then obviously when we come out of wartime back to peacetime, then people should be better versed in the different aspects of the business.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Perfecting your pitch. You touched on it there a moment ago, Paul, but now's been a great time for people to really hone their pitch and perfect it. And your pitch may have changed in terms of some of the angles that you may want to be addressing. But one of the things now has been a time to make sure that you do really get to know what it is that you want to offer, and thinking about, this all in the preparation, think about how you're going to change and adapt your pitch for post lockdown in terms of when that all comes about. And as Paul mentioned earlier, we spent a lot of time working on role plays with individuals with some really good successes as well. And it's not about us saying this to blow our own trumpet. We don't mean that way, because it's not us pitching to clients. But recently, and I'm not sure if they're on the call today, but recently I was working with a new client to iIntro in what I thought would be, what I think is a challenging market, not just where they are located, but also in terms of the roles that they chase. But 2 weeks into their contract with us, I got a notification from them yesterday saying they'd actually picked up their first retainer at 5% more, and I don't mean 5% value, but 5% fees higher than they'd previously charged. So they previously at 15% and got something for 20%. That's a third increase on a fee, and it's retained. And that's because when I was training these people, one of the things, there were 2 of them, and when they actually did their role plays with me, no offense to anybody listening, but they were probably 2 of the best role plays back, because maybe they had more time, but they'd actually spent the time to perfect their pitch. It was really, really good. And obviously that came about because obviously they went straight out, hit the clients with it in a tough market. And there was always some areas where they'll still be recruiting. And I've actually gone through and actually done that. And I know you've been working with your team, Paul, as well, in terms of perfecting the pitch, in terms of sales closes that we've spoken about as well, haven't you?
Well, we've asked people to put presentations together on areas of what they do, and areas of what they do that they don't yet know about.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? So I discussed it a few weeks ago, but I was the one who chose to do different types of sales close. So I went off and researched and found, I thought I knew everything, and I went and found out that I know very little. And I researched some new sales techniques and presented it back to the team. So, hopefully that's helped, helped other people in our business, and other people have done similar. But I mean, a challenge to everybody on the call. I mean, people come and join these calls because obviously they want to learn, but it's like anything, isn't it? You sit and listen for an hour, and then you go away, and do you go back to your comfort zone, or do you do something about it? And I'd encourage everybody to go off and do some learning, whether it's around, McQuaig and behavioural assessments. Just go on YouTube and type it in. There's loads and loads of content. Book some time with James if you want to do some pitch practicing, and book some time with colleagues. If people are doing that, hand on heart, fantastic. But I don't believe everybody is. So that's a bit of a challenge that I'd like to put out there to people. Get on and do it, because you're only improving yourself.
Sure. Now, Paul, I want to come on to a big part, which is really about the marketing plan. And I want to talk a little bit more about marketing in a moment, but obviously that preparation of thinking about how are we going to go to market after this. So I want to spend the next couple of slides talking about that, and then actually sort of introduce something as well to people. So a marketing plan, the reality is we all want a quick fix, and there's no quick fix in marketing. It's drip feed, it's over a longer period of time, but there are certain techniques you can put in place quicker than others, which start to have some instant impact. And it's about understanding what are the tools you need to sort of go out there and do that. And that's followed up with, again, going back to those 7 Ps that we spoke about. It is about putting in place all the preparation that you need to do to make sure that things happen, and you become an overnight success because you've been doing it for a long time. There's no silver bullet here in this scenario. You've actually got to sort of put the practice in, hone it down, peel back all layers, and make sure you understand all of it. And the reality is we can help. So Paul, I'm just going to describe something on the next page. I want you to talk about your experiences after that. Really, that you've been doing, working with the iIntro marketing team in your capacity essentially as a client of iIntro in the grass greener business. So one of the things we're very conscious of, that building and putting together a marketing plan, understanding what takes place, it can be a lonely road to travel on, really. So what we want to say is we are here to help. We are here to help support you. And what we put together, for those of you, and I'm not going to put up on screen, but we've got something called the Retained Recruiter Roadmap. And Roadmap is an acronym, and each letter stands for something. The A in Roadmap stands for Attract. And part of our Attract module is what we call the magnetic marketing method. And that's if you like, it's a coaching program where we work with you to help you put in place a marketing plan. Now, this is a coaching program. It's absolutely free of charge. There's nothing involved. You don't need to do anything. You have to participate in it if you wish to. And I'll tell you how you can participate in a moment. But it's really helping you over the next 3 or 4 months put them together. That's what I mean. There's no quick fix. Now, for those of you who have marketing managers in your organizations, well, all well and good, you'll have all of this. But if some of you are smaller businesses who really marketing is something you do at the end of the day when you've got a couple of a spare hour and you do a little bit, this is to really help you try and structure that. Now, the coaching program is exactly what it says. It's a coaching program, and it'll tell you what to do and when to do it. It doesn't do it for you. But if you do need some help in terms of doing it for you, then we've got something called Magnetic Marketing Accelerated. If you want faster results, if you actually want some help for someone else to do it for you, or what we call a DFY model. And obviously we can do that, but that is a chargeable service. So it doesn't matter, I don't mind which one you use, but if you want the help to do it, then we're there to do that. And to identify how to do that, you need to get in touch with us. And so for any of you who'd like to actually have some support, the link that's on screen there that you can see, that's the link to book some time with our marketing team to essentially have a discovery call and see if they can identify which is the best option for you. You'll be very welcome to the top option. If you think it's appropriate for you and you want help in that, absolutely they'll guide you through that, or somebody in your team. Or if you want some more support, and obviously there's only a finite amount of resource in this, so if everybody on the call sort of said, oh yes, we want it, we'd probably have a problem. But the reality says that not everybody will want the accelerator model. But Paul, can you speak about your experience? Because obviously we've been developing this over the last. It's come to fruition during this lockdown period, but it's been something we've been working on for a while. So do you want to share some thoughts on that, please? All right. So just to make it clear, we have a recruitment company. I'm the MD of a recruitment company, and we've enlisted the iIntro marketing team
and paid them accordingly for the magnetic marketing accelerated service. So it's been really, really interesting. I'll cut to the chase and give you the numbers. We started this campaign last Monday, and as of, I've not checked today, but as of yesterday, we had 38 what I would consider warm leads. So what's a warm lead? A warm lead to me, because it might be different to somebody else, is somebody who has downloaded one of our ebooks or some content of some kind, or they've booked some time in my diary to have a discussion with me or one of my colleagues. So that's how I qualify a warm lead. It's not just somebody that's opened up an email or read something. So what happened is, as of last Monday, one email per day went out to our modest database, and we could see through the week that, we had some people unsubscribe, we had some feedback, but ultimately, as of yesterday, so we had almost 40 warm leads that we will now, as recruitment consultants, obviously contact. Some of them we have the phone numbers, some of them we don't. We have to contact them again via email. But for me, if that's gone out to approximately 5,000 people, and we're never going to pick up the phone and call 5,000 people because it's just overwhelming. It's just too much to handle. So where do you start? You start with the warm leads. And my guess is, out of these 30 plus, that's probably gonna, it's what we call a soap opera sequence, by the way. So it's part 1 on Monday, 2 on Tuesday, 3 on Wednesday, etc. And now that's finished. That finished on Friday. We've now moved into something else. If anyone's been on my LinkedIn, or we invite you to go and have a look at my LinkedIn page, Paul Hickey, and you'll see a video that I recorded. I just recorded that a couple of weeks ago, when my head was freshly shaved, and the marketing team have had me record possibly 10 or 12 videos that are going to be going out literally over the next 10 or 12 weeks. So that's all done. I was provided with the scripts, I was provided with the content. I just had to literally sit down and record them, change my background and my shirt a little bit, and they've done everything else. They've had some discovery sessions with me where I've told them some of the things we'd like to talk about, but they get it. They get the whole video thing, the McQuaig thing. They get that we're positioning ourselves as retained recruitment business, as management consultants, not recruiters. So they know all the USPs, which we share as an iIntro family. And it's just been really smooth. And also what I really liked is sometimes people like to see what's going on, because, as you said, you don't always get instant results from marketing. And it's a strategic plan that's obviously executed over a period of time. But they use a tool called Basecamp, which is like a project management tool, and they've got everything listed out on it. So myself and the team, we know exactly what's going out today, what's going out on Friday, what's going out next week. Everything's been written, everything's been done. They just need to click the button and it automates it. So it's fantastic. So in my 15 years in recruitment, I've never, we've tried all sorts. Honestly, we've made so many mistakes, which, I say mistakes, they've all been learning curves. But I've never had 30 odd warm leads in a week.
Yeah.
And will I convert them? Maybe, maybe not. Hopefully so. I think so. I think I'll be having good conversations with people. Will they be recruiting now? I've no idea. But if I can start having phone calls and making warm connections, the team and I, then that's what it's all about. So I have every confidence, even in this moment in time, that's going to be really successful. And I've probably missed out on loads that the team have done. Things are not just, to be clear, it's not just a case of me recording a video and posting it. I record a video, it gets sent to the team, and then they dress it up with lovely design and your logo in there and subtitles, and people can't understand what I say because I'm from Yorkshire. But that type of thing. So it's all really professional. The ebook that has my name on it, I was consulted on it. I didn't actually write it. And it's really good content that's really interesting without being over aggressive in terms of closing, but in terms of
all that, the calls to action in the pool, isn't it? It's getting those people to come.
come and have a look at our bad hire calculator or recruitment process audit. Come and book some time with me. I want to talk to you about McQuaig. Let's give you a free McQuaig report. Have you looked at our ebook? Which will obviously be made industry specific if you work in chemicals or you work in medical or you work in IT. Obviously, everything's positioned for your market.
Yeah.
So, listen, it's been absolutely amazing so far. I'm really excited by it, and I'm glad we've invested in it.
But I think the other point to make there as well, Paul, is that it didn't happen. It didn't happen just over the last couple of weeks. It's happened over the last few months. This wasn't an overnight success for you.
No, it's taken three months to become an overnight success.
Yeah, there's
you get out the oldest cliche in the world, James, isn't it? You get out what you put in. Yes, it's cost us money. We've had to find. We have to find the money. You have to, or we could sit on our arse and do nothing and hope that when Boris Johnson says, right, okay, you're free to go and do what you want now. That out of the 30,000 recruitment companies in this country, in the UK, that half of them have gone out of business, but it's not gonna happen. But we want to be front of mind straight away now, and we might say some of the wrong things. We might not do everything perfectly, but as I've said before, imperfect action is better than perfect inaction. So get on with it. Pardon?
Later slide. You can't say give away all the things now.
Is that coming? You keep taking on my borrowed phrases, but no. But that's the point, James, isn't it? You've got to get it right and you've got to get it professional. You just got to get on with it. And I think we've had, for me, so to quote my first sales trainer, a guy called Stephen Hart, playtime's over. We've had this honeymoon period now, furlough and all the rest of it. Now it's time to get on and start contacting people. People are at home. People are fed up. People are getting, retail stores are starting to open. Things are starting to move in that direction. Whether we're ready or not, it doesn't matter. That's how it's going. So, guys, get on with it. Get on with marketing. Get on the phone. Start speaking with people, and become front of mind, because we're not that far away from things getting back to it. And there's going to be a lot of. I know we'll come into this, but there's going to be a lot of competition. So we've got to be front of mind.
Yeah, there'll be lots of, the team, they'll do lots of things for you. It's not just about soap opera sequence, which is, soap opera sequence. If you know what that is, it means you end each episode with a cliffhanger, so you always want to come back for more. So that's what those ones do. By the way, if you ever watch any Netflix series, my piece of advice is, if it's an hour long, finish watching after 30 minutes and then leave it for the next day, come back, and then you never get the cliffhanger experience where you have to watch another episode. Like it's 3 in the morning, 10 episodes of X, Y, or Z. So that's things. But there are other things. But anyway, so there are tools there available. There's a free support program with the magnetic marketing method. If you want some support, a bit like Paul's been outlined, there's a lot of detail that sits behind that. But either way, book a discussion and they'll then get you on that. Now, there are other things out there which are helping people in the preparation. So it's not just about us. There are some other great networks out there. The recruitment network, some of you may already be involved with them, but look at trmworld.com. That's the recruitment network world.com. At the moment, they've got free membership. Of course, they're going to charge for it at some point, but at the moment, it's still free. And there's some great tools. And I think they've got they've got some events going on as well, which are really, industry speakers and all bits and pieces. There's some great stuff there. Greg Savage, he's been one of my favorites for a long time, to be honest. If you like brash Australians, then, he might be your man, but he actually has a good blog. His blog, I just find, does really hit the mark in many particular ways. And then our old friend Mike Walmsley runs something called the Pinnacle Club, which is really where he gets a network of you together to actually participate and brainstorm ideas. Not from the same industry, of course, but obviously all recruitment business leaders like yourselves who might want to participate. So those are some ideas. You may have known some others, but those are out there to help you with your knowledge. So
our team at Grass Green are currently going through recruitmenttraining.com, which is part of Mike Walmsley's array of tools, and he's finding it really useful.
Yep, good, and that's there as well. Now, client pain points. I just want to outline a few of the things that are going to be different. So moving on to the next section now. So when the clients are thinking now, because obviously everyone's starting to talk about, when are we eating this? We'll be able to go on holiday that. But, the world's got to get back together. And as it happens, maybe it's just because it has been sunny, but I've been out the last couple of evenings walking and it's just been a lot busier. And obviously I know things like some kids went back to school on Monday and bits and pieces, but we are starting to think about it. So it's going to happen, but things are going to change, and there's going to be the new normal. Don't know what it is. I don't think anybody knows what the new normal will be, but that's going to be a problem for a lot of clients whilst they're just for home workers, people coming into the offices, staggering start times. All of these things are going to start to put stress on the clients. And also you're then going to have individuals, the employees sometimes come in and they're adapting to a new normal as well. And that's going to impact on your clients. So you've got to be sort of conscious of those and actually think about how we can help them. And we're going to be looking at some of the big things in terms of, what's the true value of success to a client? And the reality is it's not just about putting a bum on a seat. It's about putting somebody into the business who's going to stay there long term. But when the lockdown does ease, you're going to find is it's going to be a bun fight. The reality is that a few people may have gone bust over the last couple of months, but we were on 30-odd thousand recruiters before lockdown. There's going to be 30,000 recruiters post-lockdown. And you know what? There just are not going to be as many vacancies. So you're going to have people fighting to say that we're the best. Now, most of your competition can only compete on one area, and that's price. And of course, there are going to be clients who think that, yes, they'll shop around and buy at the best price. Well, we've got some news for them as well. We'll talk about later on. But the reality is it's going to be a bun fight. And you need to let your clients know that, when it comes back, there's going to be a glut of recruiters. They're going to be hounded by recruiters, ringing round, emailing them, trying to fill their inbox to say, deal with me. And so you've actually got to try and elevate from that and actually sort of step out of the noise. We'll come out to some of the things. And then the other thing we're going to experience, possibly, if not probably, something we probably haven't experienced for a long time, and that's more direct candidates on the market. Inevitably, with 8 million people, or I may have the number wrong, but a lot of people on furlough and job retention schemes. The reality is there are going to be a good number of those who are not going to be brought back into the workplace. So there are going to be a lot more people available in the workforce, in the workforce, and they're actually going to be sort of targeting employers direct to find vacancies. And employers initially are going to think, oh, great, we don't need recruiters. But the reality is they're going to find out, how do I sift through all of this noise? That's what recruiters do. We actually sort of help them sift through all of those applications out there and make a long list into a manageable short list for a client. And there is value in that, of course. But the reality is we also do need to look at how we can actually sort of help the client understand that just because you can go and find more candidates, it's still about finding the best candidate and the best fit candidate. So our process and our structure just fit in there. Anything you want to add to that, Paul? I know you were thinking about it.
Well, a couple of things. New normal. I mean, normal's not a great word, is it? We're in recruitment. We're opportunists. We probably don't consider ourselves very normal. The new great, the new fantastic, the new outstanding, whatever it may be. I think that's what we need to be. That's what we need to be talking about. But it's a great inroad, isn't it? If you're going and speaking to an employer, let's talk about the new normal. Let's look at the old normal. What was your retention rate? How many people did you hire in the last 10 years? You go into the bad hire calculator. You have a look at what their recruitment process looked like. You have a look at how many people left, what it cost them. And so you want to get back to, what's the new normal? Let's work on reducing that. And I think, James, the point that you made a second ago is really, really valuable. For me, what's the difference between a recruiter and a consultant? Because to me, they're two very different things. A recruiter is there, in my opinion, to go and find a candidate who can fill a position and get paid and run off into the sunset with his or her money. A consultant is there to help the business save money or make money, one of those two elements. And I think you can easily define it and you can eradicate the competition by saying to the employer, it's not my job to find you a candidate. It's my job to find you a candidate who stays long term. And also, I think in saying that and in practicing what you preach, your whole psyche changes. You're no longer interested in selling candidates because you're going to get a fee. You're interested in finding the right candidate who's going to stay long term so you can build a relationship. And I know we all will, it's a bit cliche, isn't it? We want to build long-term relationships, but the only way you do that is by finding candidates who stay long term, because you're always going to get blamed if people leave. It's never anybody else's fault, is it? But the recruitment consultant. And that's where, when you do a thorough job, and you are delivering to a certain high standard, that's when, of course, you can afford to offer long-term replacement policies, which is really appreciated. So you're not just making statements, you're backing up. You're backing up your statements. If you're saying I've got a 96% retention rate, if that's true, then that's what you're backing up. So it's not a new normal, it's a new excellent, and that's what people should be striving for. And to me, that's how you eradicate this bun fight. It's just about saying the right things at the right time and backing it up with tangible evidence. I mean, it's all right having a conversation with somebody, but part of the beauty of iIntro is having things like the bad hire calculator and having the software itself to actually tangibly show somebody online, pull it, show them, because recruitment, selling retained recruitment is fresh air, isn't it? Until, if you're charging them a fee of £15,000, you're asking for 10 before they've even seen a candidate. That's a tough sell when you've got 4 recruiters over here who are willing to do it essentially for free, or on a, not even on a pay-as-you-go basis, on a pay-me-at-the-end basis. So I'd encourage, I don't know how people do it exactly, but I'd encourage everybody, don't just have a chat with somebody, warm them up and talk about some of the benefits and make some really bold statements as to what it is that you can offer. Get them on the phone, get them on a Zoom, on a Skype, whatever it may be, share your screen, give them a login to iIntro, have a mock campaign and run them through it. And we've been through this before on previous webinars, so I don't want to repeat myself too much.
Good. Well, what we can do, Paul, let's talk about what we can do. I mean, the reality is we need to give them a solution to the pain. So in any part of script, so what you're going to do is actually sort of help the client understand what we do. So let's hit them with some bold statements, as you said. So so I've got a solution for you that will fill. Actually, I think I should say, that will fill your hiring needs and take away all of your work stress and frustration. I'm going to massively reduce the amount of time you spend on your hiring. I'm going to reduce the number of interviews you have to conduct, and I'm going to take away all of your risk by offering you a 12-month free replacement policy. So we're making some bold statements in here, because what we have to do is we have to sound different. Yeah. I'm going to save you time, I'm going to save you money, and I'm going to reduce your work stress. So we just sort of finish off there. I mean, that's what your prospects want to hear. They've got to hear something, because if we're just in with the other, being another Me Too recruiter in the mix, then we're not a management consultant specializing in talent acquisition to the the other bits and pieces.
You've got to lead them into it, James. Sorry to interrupt you. It's really important that you've got to lead people. You've got to lead people down the path, so they're where you want them. And you can ask a question, say, okay, you've downloaded my ebook, or you're talking to me now, or whatever the situation is. What's your problem? Oh, the problem is the old sales director left, and we need to recruit a new one. Ah, okay. So if we recruit somebody and they're leaving 3 months, is that okay? No. If we recruit somebody and they're leaving 9 months, is that okay? No. So your problem is not plugging the gap. Your problem is finding somebody who stays with you long term. Would you agree with that? Yes. Right, so you've got them to agree and you've opened them up. Now you can hit them with this. Well, in order to do that, we have to do things slightly differently. The new normal, the old normal, and then I know we've got a sort of a basic script here on screen, or some taglines, if you will. Yeah. It's really important initially to open them up and get them to where you want them to be before you hit them with what you're going to do for them.
Yeah, but is that solution, Paul? That's a really nice opening that you did there, and I hope you're all listening to that. If somebody left after 3 months, would you be happy? No. If left after 9 months, would you be happy? No. So obviously, you can appreciate that. What we're focused on here is actually getting people who are going to stay with you long term. That's part of that. And that phrase just used, Paul, I think Steve Clark just notes up there is, he loves the new excellence, and that's the way we've got to position ourselves. And this is about us actually standing out with that. But remember, if you're getting through to a client, let's be honest. It's not, we don't get through as much as we need to, but when you are through, therefore it's golden. And if they're taking your call, they're acknowledging that at that particular amount of time, there's something they're prepared to listen to. You've just got to have the hook to reel them in on.
And again, another one that happens, it's in my mind, James, because it happened quite recently, is a client saying, what was it along the lines of, I asked them what the problem is. They said, the problem is recruitment consultants selling candidates to me left, right, and centre. And they joked and they said, "Oh, every candidate's the best candidate since sliced bread." I said, "Oh, that's interesting." I said, because obviously they're not. I said, "How do you engage these recruiters?" Well, we give the vacancy to 3 or 4 different recruitment companies, and they go. I said, "Well, let's just put yourself in their shoes for a second." And I'm not defending them, but let's just analyse the situation. If you give it to 4 different recruiters, how much chance have they got at best of making a placement? Well, 25%. Okay, so they're going fishing in the same pond, because you've got obviously a set criteria. So there's only so many people that can do it in that given territory. So what you're asking them to do is not a good job. You're asking them to do a fast job. I said, and probably once they've found, have you agreed to fees with these guys? Well, they've told me that they charge 18%. I said, you can probably get them down to 15 or 14, can't you? Yeah, probably could, Paul. So you're going to wait until, you're going to give them only a 25% chance. You're going to pay them less than what they're asking for. You're going to ask them to do it as quick as possible. And then you're going to moan that they're trying to sell people to you. well, when you put it like that. So it's just about being bold enough to analyse what the current situation is and highlight it to them and say, well, is that
That's it,
your
Paul.
fault or is it their fault?
It's about us being management consultants, Paul, and recognizing that we're not going to win every time. Not every client is going to like us. You were saying to me earlier on today about Marmite, but the reality is, standing up for what you believe in and saying what you mean to clients. I say some of you'll like it, some of it won't, and that's just the way it is. Moving on. So we've got to look at the next stage, which is how are we going to deal with the competition and what's that going to be like? Well, the reality is, we've been speaking about this in many ways, but what we're going to look at here is, you've got to think about your USPs and you have to push them. You have to promote those USPs. They're USPs because they differentiate us in a very, very crowded market. And so they're going to form part of your marketing. So you've actually got to continue to push your marketing. It's that drip feed, drip, 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 pushing through and making sure that you don't give into that. So those USPs, they've been developed for a reason, to give you a talking point, an opening, and open into that client, so you can actually sort of spark that conversation and take it in a direction which isn't just about to tell me about the person you're looking for. It's actually having a more meaningful conversation with the clients. And it's about sharing with the clients once you actually get into the pitch. And Paul, what you spoke about earlier is, our system is an evidence-based recruitment process management system that shows clients how we can help them make a more informed hiring decision. And our process is about how recruitment and assessment has moved on over the last, from the last century, whereas they're stuck in that 20th century one-dimensional recruitment process, which is why they continue to go down that transactional way, feeding out, getting all those problems that you just spoke about. We've got to share with the clients that, listen, if you're still working the same way as you were in 1995 as you are now, do you think you'd still be in business? Most of them will say no. There'll be an exception somewhere to this. But the reality is most of them say, no, of course not, we've had to change about it. Well, so is our industry. It's just the recruiters you're with are still stuck in that century. Let's move it forward. Share with them that, we're going to reduce their commercial downtime. Benefit number one, and explain to them what that means in terms of making sure they don't waste time interviewing the wrong people, make sure they don't get spoiled by, but further damage by actually hiring somebody who gets through the interview process because they're good at interviewing, and wasting all the time by actually sort of going through the onboarding and process before they eventually fire them.
Well, again, talking about that and talking about sort of the return service that we offer as recruiters. I mean, you consider that quite often the most important document typically in a recruitment process, the two documents, is the job spec and the CV. Mm-hmm. So when I go into companies as a management consultant, call it what you like, one of the last things that we actually discuss is the job specification. Yes, okay, I might know what the position is, and I might have obviously they want somebody with 5 or 10 years experience and what the salary is. Of course, I understand that. I don't really talk about it quite often. I've got clients to sign up for retainers without even discussing the job specification. That's something that can come later. And likewise, when we deliver an iIntro campaign, quite typically the CV is the last document that anybody goes to, because there's other more relevant information like key competency questions and answers, or the video or something like that. So it's really interesting, isn't it, how we turn what is typical old-fashioned 1980s style recruitment process. We turn it on its head. And also another thing that's really important is if you approach it in the correct way, and it only comes with experience and improved skill levels, is that I can't remember the last time I pitched a client and they asked me what I know about their industry. Because we do work in, we have certain industries at Grass Greener that we work in, but quite often we'll find ourselves through a referral or one thing and another, we'll find ourselves in a completely new industry to us. Don't ask me what my knowledge is about their industry, what my database consists of. They don't even ask me how I find candidates, because we position it in such a way that I think it almost seems elementary for them to ask that. They're interested in the results, they're interested in the money saving, the reduction in commercial downtime, so on and so forth. So positioned right, it should be a completely different level of conversation that you should be having.
And it's interesting what you say about the CV and the job description, Paul. I'm sure you remember the conversation we had with Charles over in the US. I'm not sure if it's on today, but and how he what's the point of the CV or resume as they call it in the US? He doesn't even want it in the system, which is fair enough. So again, it's about moving it away from that and taking it on. So we've got these things which make us stand out as a me only recruitment business, not a me too recruitment agency. And we've just got to elevate ourselves by pushing those things, having continuous drip feed marketing and making sure that we've perfected that pitch to go through there. And so the final couple of things to talk about there, Paul, this statement you had earlier, is when dealing with the competition, we've got to get out there and do things. So imperfect action is better than perfect inaction. It's never gonna, you're never gonna have everything precisely the way you want it, or if you have, well done, you've done a lot of things, but you can't wait. You've got to get out there and start doing things now. So please don't hang about. Don't think, oh, well, let's just wait until the government says we can get cracking. You should be marketing. So when Paul was talking about what he's doing last week with his marketing plan, that's because this is something we planned a couple of months ago to get cracking. And Paul always said, come the end of May, beginning of June, if you get back to those early webinars we're doing, so that's what we're planning forward to. So don't wait for this, because if you haven't started yet, get cracking soon. Really don't push on it. And the other thing is, make sure don't give up. There's lots of doom and gloom out there, but our job as recruitment business owners is to have that thick skin, to make sure that we understand, we're going to go, this is our life, this is our business, we're going to push, we're going to be relentless, we're going to get some knockbacks, but we're never going to give up. So don't give up. That's really what we need to do. So in summary, just want to talk about, you've got to get ready. Make sure you're out there, you're ready to get cracking on this one. The bounce back will happen. We don't know how it's, what level it's going to be, but we've got to be ready for something. Therefore, let's assume it's going to be fairly soon, and let's make sure we're actually out there marketing and pushing those things. Recruiters, you've got to focus on the high value. Where do we add value? That's what's going to win it in the long run, because any recruiter can actually push CVs at a client. And our favourite expression I noticed, there are plenty of CV vending machines out there. You don't even have to go to a recruiter. You can just go to Indeed and they'll pump them out for you. But it's not just about that. So look at where can you add value. Think about your USPs, how they're going to help you promote that side of things. Reduce commercial downtime, improving your employee retention rates, and reduce your overall cost to hire, and evidence how you're going to do that. That's what the platform does, whether it's the bad hire calculator or the system demo that we've got. And the reality is, the best will come out on top, and the best people are sat in on this call now. That's you. So take your message out to market, push them out there, and make sure you're ready to take this up when it comes back. Paul and I and the whole of the team at iIntro really appreciate the fact that you've spent time with us listening into these. I say it's the end of this series, but there will be other webinars that we'll be inviting you to. So do want you to sort of listen out and look out for those. But as I say, we thank you very much for that. And if you've got any questions, pop them in the chat box. Open up your microphone if you have a wish, but the chat box is probably as good a place as any. And if we can answer straight off the bat, we will do. If not, we will get back to you. So
something that came to mind, James, just on a side note, there is years ago, somebody a very confident. I won't suggest repeating this, but it's quite funny for now. We were talking about the competition, and he said, "Sorry, what did you say?" He said, "Your competition." He said, "No, I don't have competition." I said, "Well, what do you have?" He said, "Victims." Which I thought, it's not for repeating, but it was quite funny at the time.
Yeah. I've had a question from somebody called Given Up. I don't know who that is, but anyway, whoever you are, I'll check your email address later. And the question is, when will the emotional intelligence McQuaig? And they're pushing it really hard now. We're just trying to nail them down for a webinar date from a lady called Jo Emerson, who's the MD of McQuaig. So I'd like to say June, just need to put that together. It may not be a live webinar. We might have to record this offline with them and get that pushed out to you. So we will do that. And then
by the way, James, both you and I have done the flow profile, and it's really interesting, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. It's not as straightforward to understand as a simple McQuaid profile. There's some easy things to read, but it'll take a little bit of education on that side. But it's a great value add tool into the proposition. Paul, I'm going to read this question out loud so you can help me with the answer on this one, because you might understand it. Any progress on integrating full recruitment videos onto the platform so clients can access and place them on the platform? Any idea what that might mean? Might just need a bit more explanation on that one.
Access them and place them on the platform.
In terms of full videos, one of the other webinars we are looking to run at some point is a fuller introduction to the next generation of the platform. That might be where we'll have different types of videos that can be integrated, but nothing's going to happen in the current version from that side, I think so.
Just read that question again, James, see if we can understand it.
It might have been about a client promotion video. We can upload a client promotion video, Paul, into the platform so that you can do that. I mean, you can sort of have links to those at the moment from that side of things. So, do we have any surveys to send? If you talk about the flow profiler, that'll come after the that'll come after the webinar. If you have any other type of surveys, if that's the client surveys, obviously we can do that bit. Questions. So I'm just trying to read the question. Forgive me for
Yeah.
this. The question was redoing interviews and having these on the platform.
Redoing interviews and
having those on the platform. I'm not really sure.
So maybe take it up offline, that one.
Yeah, I'll put it on compliance. Really sorry. Okay, the client HR does an interview, a full one, and posts that up. I mean, the reality is you could put that in there now because it's just a link to a private YouTube channel. So you can just have a link out to YouTube. So there we go.
Yeah, there's workarounds.
Yeah, we'll do that. Listen, please drop us an email to paul@iintro.com, james@iintro.com, various bits and pieces. If you want to have a look at any of the ebooks.
The ebook, by the way, if you go to my, I don't know who given up his, but if they go to my LinkedIn page, Paul Hickey, they will just be able to download the ebook.
Yeah, and also you go to iintro.co.uk or iintro.com will take you there, and go to our iLibrary. There are ebooks there, the ones that Palmerston, the Rewired Recruiter, the Contingency, etc. Paul's ebook, again, it's written for Grass Greener, but I say just go onto his LinkedIn profile and you'll find links to it there. So there you go. There we go. The address is there: www.ebook.grassgreener.co.uk. So go from that side of things. So listen, that's I think pretty much all of it. Thank you very much, everybody. Paul, appreciate you joining me as well as ever and contributing what you have. Thanks very much, everybody. We look forward to seeing you all soon, and stay safe. We'll see you soon.
Yeah. Cheers, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.